In today's video, we're going to be answering the question, does network spinal analysis, otherwise known as network spinal, does it work? Is a question that people ask. Network spinal being the foundation for the work that I do at the BioSoul Integration Center, and kind of a more energetically oriented, transformational oriented technique that stemmed out of chiropractic. And it looks a lot different than what most people think of when they think of chiropractic. And the reasons that people, a lot of the reasons that people get into network spinal care are some of the same reasons that people come to any chiropractor. However, I think the reasons that they stay in care can be different. And again, it doesn't look like anything like most people think of when they think of conventional chiropractic. So I think people can kind of, tend to think like, is this going to work for me? Does network spinal analysis, also known as network chiropractic, does it work? And today I have, we're going to be talking with Shay Elizabeth, a network practitioner, network chiropractor, just down the street from me in Lafayette. And before I get to her, though, I'm Jay Eaker from the BioSoul Integration Center in Louisville, Colorado, and I help people embody their soul's gifts and their soul's essence. And through the work that I do that I call BioSoul Integration, and I work hands-on with people there in Louisville at my office. I also do some BioSoul Integration coaching. And yeah, so if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please share this with anyone who might be interested. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That helps a lot. And you can do all that social stuff wherever you find it, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I also have this video will be turned into a podcast form, audio podcast, so you can find that, the BioSoul Integration podcast, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I've written a book called If It Didn't Hurt, How to Resolve Your Pain and Discover Your Life's Purpose, which is really the ultimate guide for embodying your pain's wisdom and expressing your soul's gifts on the planet. So you can check that out on Amazon. All forms of it are on Amazon. You can get the paperback off my website, biosoulintegration.com, for $2 or $3 less than you get it on Amazon. So you can get a deal there, biosoulintegration.com. Okay, I'm going to bring Shay. You got, two first names for your name. Shay Elizabeth. Thanks for coming on, Shay Elizabeth.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
really
me.
appreciate it. So, yeah, how can people get a hold of you first off? Can you tell us how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my practice is in Lafayette, Colorado,
Hmm.
and I am one of the co-founders of the Well Healing Center. And you can find us on Instagram. We have at the Well Healing Center. We also have a website called thewellhealingcenter.com. So we kept it really simple. If
Mm,
you type in our name of our office, it's pretty easy to find us. Yeah.
right. Great. What does it take to get started in care with you guys there?
Yeah, so the way that we work in our office is we have a pretty extensive intake. And the reason for that is because with the nature of network spinal, we really look at the entire human, your past, your future, your present moment, where you are right now, and what are the forces that have been working on you throughout your life. And so we do an extensive intake form, and then we take about an hour and a half with you in your initial exam. We do some scans that include thermography, that include an EMG on your spine, as well as a heart rate variability. And those are a really great window for us to see what is the health and state of your central nervous system in this moment. And then that gives us a really great snapshot into how we can provide care for you. And then we also do a physical exam. And from there, myself and my business partner, Dr. Michelle Green, we sit down together, discuss what we've seen, and discuss how do we think we can help and what the best avenue moving forward for care is.
Nice. Great. Yeah. So kind of to, getting into this question, does network spinal analysis, it's, over the years, it's gone by a number of names. So if you look it up these days, it's network spinal. In the past, it's been network spinal analysis, network chiropractic. So
Yep.
does network spinal work? And I kind of think, in order to answer that question, a lot of that, it's kind of a loaded question. A lot of that has to do with what are the goals, that we're trying to accomplish with network spinal. I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know. Have you seen the Joe Rogan podcast?
Love it. Yes.
Some out there might know the Joe Rogan podcast, but he was talking funny. I love Joe Rogan, but he doesn't like chiropractors. He was talking about an experience he'd had with a chiropractor in the past and saying how it really didn't work out, and he was, using saying he should have gone to a real doctor and that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, well, there's doctors of all sorts. You wouldn't want a doctor of anthropology adjusting you, or you wouldn't want a doctor of chiropractic doing surgery on you, probably. So I guess my point is, we kind of have to get down to like, what is it that we're trying to accomplish with the work that we're doing, and that helps kind of answer that question of, does it work? So I guess like in the medical world, they're really good at saving people's lives if you get into a situation where you need your life saved. In chiropractic, I think, unfortunately, in general, the average is sort of like, getting people out of pain, back pain, things like that.
Yep.
And what and network chiropractic is different than that. I think. In your experience, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with your clients? What is it that, a client experiences that makes it work for you? What does that mean for you?
It's a really big question. And the straightforward and simple answer to that is, my goals is to, number one, in the nervous system, help the body to release what we call adverse mechanical cord tension in the spine. They have found, I am sure that anyone who's seen a regular traditional chiropractor, they've heard the word subluxation thrown around, and that bone on nerve theory has actually really been disproved in a lot of ways. And what they have found is that the biggest stressors in the nervous system are from mechanical cord tension. So tethering of the cord, that is based on postural, different posturals, and also traumas and stressors that really are in our nervous system that we haven't integrated. So one of the things that I assess and that I look to help accomplish is to help remove that tethering of the cord. And what that does is help for more blood flow, more nerve flow to the brain and back down, healthy communication. And then the other piece for network spinal that we really, really look at is the fact that we are 99% energy and 1% matter, right? We are organized by the intelligences that organize the universe. We are all one. And so one of the biggest things is we have this bound energy in our system, and it's based on different experiences in our life. And it's interesting. I just got back from a program with the founder, Donald Epstein, and he made it very clear that emotions do not store in the body. It is the vibration or the frequency of that emotion that actually is stored, right? We talk about, there's an emotion stored right here. It's the vibration of that emotion. And because that's what we are, right? We're frequency, we're vibration. And so our goal is to help unbind that energy in the nervous system so that there is more free flow happening. One of the things we talked about a lot this weekend is less energy available in our life changes our perception of reality. When we have less energy, right, where our tailbone is tucked, our chin comes forward, our spine, our posture changes, and the way we see the world is way different. Where when I'm liberated, my arms are up. We had this moment this weekend where he brought me up to the mic, and it was very uncomfortable, and asked me one of my struggles in business and in my practice. And I had my hands kind of like together facing my body. And I had a really low energy state answer. And then he had me open my hands just to the sides, and my answer had more energy. And then I opened my arms up all the way, and my answer changed again. And so just by changing the posture and changing the perspective that my nervous system was holding, I could make a different choice and see what was happening from a different lens. And so what Network Spinal does is that, right? It helps our nervous system change the meaning of pain, of symptoms, of struggle. And when we start care, a lot of times those pains and those struggles come from wounds. And then as we get more energy in our system and we're liberated, those turn into opportunities for change and growth. And then as we get even higher in it and we start to connect with the heart, those become our gifts. And so Network Spinal takes you through these processes where we're turning our wounds into the gifts that we're going to give out into the world. And so it's a really loaded question you asked, but those are some of my goals for my patients, right? Like on a physical level, but also how is your life going to change?
Right. So it's just about, it's about your life. It's about wanting your life to change. Yeah. Yes. And how, can you say more about how I'm still people are going to be, I know what got me into network chiropractic was about, or what sold me on it was some of the things that you're talking about, changes that happened sort of instantly in my life, but also my low back pain changed drastically.
Yes.
So yeah, what do pain or symptoms represent in that picture, you know?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions to answer because it's something that everyone's thinking about, you know. When we go to see a chiropractor, 99% of the time, like you said, it's back pain, right?
Right.
And the way that we look at pain and look at symptoms in this paradigm is that it's a messenger. It's a messenger to tell us that something needs to change. And symptoms and pain are usually actually the last thing that happens. Those processes are happening in our bodies before we even have the pain show up a lot of the time. Right. So, you have those patients that come in, they're like, I wasn't doing anything at all. And I just bent over to pick up the keys and I threw my back out. And it's like, okay, let's talk about these processes that are happening underneath the surface. And so in Network Spinal, what we help our patients to see is that pain is a messenger. And Donnie said something really profound this weekend that was like, I hope that pain or that symptom doesn't go away 1 minute before it was supposed to teach you what it taught you, or what it's supposed to teach you and what it's there for. And it's harsh. And it's really hard to stand by that when we don't want to see people suffer. We don't want to see people in pain. And we have to really teach them that if you can work with that pain and look at it and say, hi, what are you here to tell me? They can grow from it. And not only can they grow from it, they can move further than it. We can up level them. Right. This is the question of restorative healing versus reorganizational, where restorative, in actually one of the medical definitions for treatment, is to restore a person back to their prior minimal state. I don't know about you. That is not what I want for healthcare. What I want is what we do in reorganizational healing, which is up leveling the human beyond where they came in, right? So you're always being more adaptable. You're always having more energy available, and you're only getting to a place where you're up leveling your nervous system, your health, your life. And so that's how we help you see pain. It's a messenger to help you grow, to help you up level so that you can share your gifts with the world, because that's what we're here for. Right.
That's what brings real life satisfaction, real happiness after all. So, it sounds like our bodies are kind of always talking to us then. And maybe pain or uncomfortable symptoms are just kind of a turned up version of what our body's already been telling us.
Exactly.
And, yeah, I love that what you're saying about, I like the idea of, I feel like life is, life is evolving and we're being asked to evolve with it. And yeah, that sort of restorative model kind of goes against, in fact, what's life is kind of like constantly trying to get us to
Hmm.
evolve. And probably, yeah, if we don't listen, it's going to hurt. It's going to
Right.
hurt. It's going to hurt somehow.
That was one of the biggest conversations we really talked about this weekend was, you actually don't have to wait for some huge loss or some
Mm,
huge thing to happen in your life to up level. As you start to heal and you start to
mm,
have more energy available, you get to start to listen to the taps on the
mm,
shoulder. You get a little more attuned to your body
mm,
sensations, to the signs, the signals that are
mm,
telling you things need to change, so
mm,
that you're not having to like have your whole life fall apart every time
mm.
you need to make a change, right? You
Right.
start to get more attuned to the little nuances so that you
Mm-hmm.
can just continue in a little bit more of a graceful
Sure.
pattern.
Well, that makes me wonder, like, what happened in the first place? Like, why can't we hear those things in the first place? What
You know,
happened?
I think it's really has to do with our cultural conditioning. I feel like because in this paradigm of health, we look at symptoms as bad and to
Mm,
mask them and to numb them. And so when symptoms come up, we're not taught to say, "Oh, hey, what's going
mm,
on here?" We go, "Oh no, I have a headache. I need to take something for it
mm,
immediately." And
mm,
so it's this numbing out,
mm-hmm,
this coming back to baseline of okay,
mm-hmm,
that we're just really not taught all the way from
mm-hmm,
childhood, right? To how to attune to that emotion, to that
mm-hmm,
feeling, to whatever the sensations in our body. So I think
mm-hmm,
it's really about starting either retraining yourself, reteaching
mm,
yourself as an adult, and
mm-hmm,
also if you have little ones, teaching them how to be
mm.
with their body and the
Right.
sensations
Starts
that
then.
they're,
Sure. Starts
yeah,
way back when for all of us, probably started way back when we were
yeah,
in the womb, even.
totally.
Certainly when we were little kids, that being
Hmm.
modeled for us how to rest in our bodies and listen to our own knowing.
Right.
I imagine it has a lot to do with that, just being able to sort of pick up on the I don't know the knowing that this sort of like conversation between me and life. Life's
Hmm.
kind of constantly saying, "Hey, come over here, come over here. This is what you were meant to do." And there's ways that
Right.
we learn
Learning to
not to
trust
listen
that.
to that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
right.
beautiful.
Uh, I was, it's like in thinking about the sort of context or the goals that I have for my clients. I think about sort of experience I had again with network spinal way back in the day that sort of sold me on it was like I walked out of my. I mean, I was kind of a cynical, just a jerk, basically, hard on myself and hard on others. And when I was back in chiropractic school, and I walked out of the office one day of my network spinal doctor's office, and I just remember it felt like a 300-pound weight had been lifted from my shoulders, and the sky was alive in the way that it wasn't. The colors were more vibrant on the trees, and I had this amazing feeling sort of moving through my spine from this place where my back usually hurt into my heart, which at the time I was like, what is this amazing feeling? Like under the influence of this feeling, I was thinking how great my girlfriend was and how great my parents were and this great opportunity I had at school and all some version of like all the possibilities, which was like not usually how I was.
Yeah.
And looking back, I realized that feeling is called gratitude. But at the time, I was like, "What is this amazing thing? This is awesome!" And but a veil was sort of removed from my eyes. I sort of saw how if I was having trouble with people or my life in any way, that largely it was my own
Hmm.
doing. And I kind of saw in that ignorance how I had hurt myself and hurt others, and there was pain. I felt that pain more intensely along with the gratitude, but I could see things that I couldn't see before, and so
Hmm.
that's kind of the context. That's like, wow, this is awesome. Like I want this for my clients. So that was sort of the background, the thing that I want, for my clients. I wonder for you if the context that you have for your clients and the goals that you have for them, does that come out of some healing experience you had or?
Yes. Yes.
Ah,
Yes. Yes.
usually that's the case.
Right. It really is because it can be, it's, let's be honest, like we're very much out of the model, like the box,
Mm,
in the way that we see health, the way that we approach health, the way that we practice. It's very outside the box. So it really, I feel like a lot of times takes an experience of it in order to find your way here or to be called to it.
Sure. Direct experience.
So
Yeah.
exactly. So I was actually, when I was in chiropractic school, was very much in a structural model, physical model. I was a strength and conditioning coach before that. So I worked with athletes, training, in the weight rooms, doing stuff like that for a long time. So when I went to school, I actually was working on a like sports chiropractic model and trying to move into working with rugby players and other athletes on their sidelines of their games. And I also had some of the worst anxiety. I had a highly overdeveloped stress response, and I just wasn't really thriving. And a friend of mine, dear sister of mine now, and she introduced me to another friend of mine who practices network spinal, and she was still in school. And I had a what we call a network entrainment, which is synonym for the chiropractic adjustment. And I laid on the table and I laughed hysterically for probably 20 minutes.
Wow. A lot of some serious joy coming through there, huh?
So much joy that was being
That's always nice.
completely locked down by a rigid nervous system that I had from being in hypervigilant states for a really long time and stressed out. And because I wasn't even allowing myself to feel the hard emotions, I was also dampening my joy. And, don't get me wrong, since then I've had a lot of tears in my process as well, but that was really novel to me. And what I experienced after and what that meant was kind of like what you just said, the weight lifted off. And this freedom that I felt in my system, this ability to move and to thrive. And it changed everything. And from there, I continued care, and my anxiety, my relationship to it changed. And it was just, it was beautiful. And it kind of was like, okay, this is what I'm here to do.
Right. It was apparent. Yeah. It's very, like you said, that direct experience of, it's an awakening of sorts that happens that's definitely catches one's attention.
Yep.
As far as this goes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, something that you were sort of mentioning there, like, often I think, people have an experience of some sort that gets them into chiropractic school or gets them into these things. It's that direct experience. And, I don't know if like my wife, for example, my wife has been for many, many years a hospice chaplain. And she would sort of come home telling me these stories about, how she like helped someone die today and like took care of their family or whatever. It's like these stories that she would tell me when she would come home, and I would think like, a hospice chaplain is not something that you when you're a little kid, you want to be a firefighter or you want to be a doctor, or like no one ever says like hospice chaplain. I think maybe chiropractic is kind of the maybe similar. And I guess I'm just pointing towards the fact that there were things that happened to me along the way that something was calling me, something bigger was sort of like nudging me in a certain direction. And I don't know, maybe you've already talked about that a little bit, but can you relate to that? Do you feel like you were called to this in some way?
Yes. 100%. When I was a strength and conditioning coach, I wanted to go back to school. And so I was looking into physical therapy and interning and doing all these things. And I was just like, man, this is just not it. And I was invited to hearing my old chiropractic president of my school speak. And I'm just sitting there going, this is what I've been looking for. Because what I was looking for and what I knew, thankfully I had this upbringing that really gave me a lot of trust in the human ability to heal itself.
Interesting
And I was,
you say that, yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking for something that could help me empower people. At a young age, I'm like, I don't want to be disempowered by my medical doctor. I want to,
Mm,
I want to know, and I want to be able to help people and show them how powerful they are. And I knew that in my early 20s and probably even before that. And when I found chiropractic, I'm like, this is it. I wanted to be in healthcare. I wanted to be in service, and I wanted to be a part of something that was about life.
mm,
Right. I
mm,
wanted to be about enhancing life, bringing more
mm,
life to a person's
mhm,
body and bringing more energy available. And so
mhm,
that was how I got into chiropractic.
mhm,
And then, as I just mentioned, that's how I got into network spinal, was because, and then again, I had my own experience of not really thriving in my own body and
mm,
being able to see
mhm,
that not just pain was going away, but I was liberated from years and years and
mm,
years of anxiety and fear.
mm. Sort of reminded you of something,
Yeah,
yeah, that maybe you had known even when you were a kid.
totally.
Potentially, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Um, how is network spinal different than like if people see it, they see you, I don't know, it might look strange on some level, You're like,
Just a little.
I mean, when I was in chiropractic school, they showed us a video of there was like, these are sort of sanctioned techniques. These are some ones that are, yeah, they're kind of questionable, and then there's some really weird ones, and then there's some stuff that no self-respecting person would ever, or chiropractor would ever subject themselves to, and that was network was in that list. It was like so far fringe, and they showed
Yeah.
us a picture of some guy in a, or not picture, but it was a video of some, I don't know who it was. He was like in an 80s tracksuit, and he was working on someone on this makeshift table in his garage, and he was taking these contacts on this guy's spine, like, taking these gentle contacts, and looked like he was sort of like sewing something in the air above the guy, and the guy was like writhing around in
Yep.
a apparent state of bliss, and everyone sort of laughed, but I didn't really think I didn't think it was funny. I thought that's at the place where I was in my life. I thought that's interesting,
Yes.
but I don't know how is network. What's going on there with all that stuff? I mean, it might look like there are some things that it looks like maybe like more energy work or
Mhm.
things like that. Like, how is it different from, because again, it doesn't look like chiropractic. How is it different from, I don't know,
Yeah.
energy work or other modalities, or
Hmm.
if that gives you
Yeah.
something to work with?
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, it's become a little more refined since then, back in the 80s and
Mm,
90s. So people are not flailing off tables and big wave
mm,
experiences so much anymore.
mm-hmm,
And it's, but it is a gentle technique. So I always start with that. It's very
mm,
gentle.
mm,
We're not putting direct force into any bone.
mm.
We are looking for what are called gateways in the nervous system. So we're looking at areas of opening where there's actually free energy around the bound energy.
And
And
I
we
hear
put
I hear your son there. Like, if you need to get him or something like that, we're recording this, and so we can. I thought I heard him
edit,
anyway.
you can edit. He
I
just woke
can
up.
We can like edit that out.
Great. Okay.
That makes me think. Oh, or if you were done answering that question from before,
Um, oh yeah.
I asked
So
like, why did how is network different from other sort of gentle, more energetically oriented, I don't know, modalities and stuff that are out there?
yeah. So yeah, the way that it is different is we are accessing the nervous system directly. So yes, we are still working on, I mentioned the word energy a lot, but we are also looking at the integrity of your nervous system. So that's really the difference, I think, between just energy work
Mm,
and network spinal, because we are a chiropractic technique. We are looking at your parameters in your nervous system and what's happening there, and then we reassess. So we want to see change actually in the physiology of the nervous system. But in terms of chiropractic, it is different because we're not putting a force in, we're
mm,
putting light contacts into the spine to help
mm,
the information find the prefrontal cortex and back down, and
mm.
allows us to reorganize the tension in the system.
Right. But are there, and so there's actual physical changes that happen with that? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people who are
Absolutely.
like, I need some, like, movement
Yeah.
here somehow. I mean,
And that's the big question, right? Is I always say that some of the patients that come into my office, or we call them practice members, are seekers. They want more. They don't just want to come in and get a bone moved and need it again the same exact way in 3 days from now. They want to see that their spine is actually adapting and changing and moving forward over time. And yes, do bones move? And yes, pain goes away. But it's not that instant gratification of a crack, of an adjustment like that. But for most people that I talk to, within 20 minutes, they feel like they might actually need that again some of the time, right? So with this, it's much more sustainable. You're actually growing in your nervous system. We're creating strategies to help you adapt to stressors in your life while you're not even in the office.
Awesome. Yeah. So there are like some of the same, people can experience some of the same physical changes, like, I don't know, vertebra moving, or those things
Absolutely.
happen too,
Yep.
without necessarily, you know, cracking your spine or that
Right.
that huge
Another
force.
way that you can really look at it too is that a lot of these fixations in the nervous system have been brought on by defense strategies. So there's actually increased tension there. And so one of the things that we try to do is go to areas that are already working to teach the areas that are closed off or guarded how to open versus just putting force into an already guarded system, expecting the nervous system to be able to integrate that.
The
Is
system
kind of
actually learns how to do that on its own, which is
exactly right.
cooler than
You can't
having
put too much
necessarily.
force. Yeah, when you put
Right.
too much force into a really solid structure, it's kind of like, trying to like ignite a match, and like in the system that like cannot handle the fire.
Right.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe I'll let you go. Maybe I'll let you go back to being mom there. That brings up a question though. Why kids?
I'm glad you
Why
asked
would
that
you see kids?
before we closed up. So kids, the first thing I say is that kids adapt to how our experience as moms when they're in the womb, right? So the first experience with their nervous system is, his was with when he was in my belly, and what my experience of the world was and what my stress hormones were like. It actually entrained to his nervous system to teach him what the world was going to be like when he came out. So just that is enough for me to want to have my child's nervous system checked. But if you think about kids, how quickly do they change? Right? They are growing and changing at the craziest rate. Every morning he wakes up, I have a different child. And so
Right.
and then he's falling, he's climbing. He went through birth, which is traumatic, as most moms and husbands was and
Yeah.
men know. Anyone who's seen. And so all of
There's
these things are
processing so much information,
right, processing so much
physical,
information.
chemical,
Yep.
emotional. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the great thing for kids is just getting their spine checked, their nervous system checked, to make sure that they're clear vessel for all of this information. And as they grow, they don't have to just pack on stressors and tension in their nervous system. They can be free to like actually live vibrantly
Right.
throughout their entire life, right? Rather than have to get to a certain age where they have all this pain and then they go and they try to get themselves back to health. Why not stay ahead of the curve,
Right.
right?
So there's this idea, sounds like, if there's this huge intelligence the body knows that, and life know how to do things, and something gets in the way of that, and we're sort of like you're freeing up the resources to help
Exactly.
that intelligence do what it knows how to do.
Yep. Becoming more resourceful in your own body and life.
Right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Shay, it was really nice speaking with you. Is there anything else that is, I don't know, on your heart or feels important to you, that you want people to know or that we didn't talk about?
Hmm. Yeah, what's been really coming up for me a lot lately, and we spoke about this a lot this weekend, is how important it is to really start to ask different questions in your health and in your life. Because if you take a snapshot of where we're at right now, right, we have a lot of stress. We have a lot of polarity between belief systems and health and all these paradigms, right?
Yeah.
And so, my my challenge to anyone watching this video or listening to the podcast is to start to ask some different questions and to ask yourself if you can just give yourself the permission to open up to some magic and to open up to something that you didn't maybe believe in before because it didn't go in alignment with your belief system. And I think that's the way that we're going to start to shift as human beings into a more collective state, is to just start to say, maybe we don't know it all. And maybe the way that we've been doing it hasn't been working. And there are other ways, right? Like that opportunity. And so I just really want to invite some curiosity into people's thinking. And if this is something that really intrigues you, reach out to me, reach out to a network spinal practitioner, learn a little bit more, and just get that curiosity flowing and experience it for yourself.
Great. Yeah, I think we've done a good job of talking about some things that people might find interesting. So is there, can you remind people if they want to get a hold of you, how to do that again?
Yeah. So the Well Healing Center in Lafayette, Colorado is my practice. The Well Healing Center on Instagram, also Get Well at the Well Healing Center is our .com is our email. So please feel free to reach out, shoot me an email, and I will respond, quickly and send any information over that you need. There is actually quite a bit of research on the network wave, which is a strategy we produce in the spine to help self-regulate stress patterns. And so I'd be happy to throw some research at anyone who's interested as well.
Cool. I saw on your website there, you do some events from time to time. Is there any upcoming events that you have?
Yeah, we have two coming. Actually, we have three coming up. We have two SRI classes, which is somatorespiratory integration. They are movement, breath, awareness, patterning exercises that help you bring more available energy and awareness to your body. So we teach a level 1 and a level 2, discover and transform. So that's November 1st and November 8th. And then I believe on the 15th, we are teaching also another class that is really just all about the nervous system and spinal health and how to create kind of a lifestyle that supports a healthy nervous system if you can't make it into the office or when you're not in the office, so that you can thrive on your own terms and be your own best advocate for your health.
Great. That sounds awesome. All right, Shay. Well, thanks for being with us. Thanks for helping us answer the question, does network spinal chiropractic, does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for you guys out there who are watching or listening again, please hit that like button, share it with people who might be interested or need this information. Subscribe to my YouTube channel or anywhere that you see this information. Again, check out my book if it didn't hurt. If it didn't hurt on at biosoulintegration.com. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I look forward to helping you express more life. Have a great day.